All right, friend, let me say, we have been working hard on this podcast. We have been having some deep discussions of things that we're facing together. I say this as we're in this together, even though this is a journey that I've chosen to take. Having you with me, hitting that play button, coming in every day to listen to the episode truly means a lot to me, and I'm grateful for that because it's great to have the support. Thank you to everyone who's reached out to me since this podcast has been out, asking how things are going, asking what support I need, and I greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it, and I thank you. I thank you for coming back again and just listening to this podcast and being here with me. All right. Today's podcast is titled Staying with the Process When No One is Watching, right? We will jump into a process and sometimes we feel like no one is watching, and maybe no one is watching, right? And this one's going to feel especially important because this is where real change either takes root or quietly fades. Okay? Let me say that again. This is where the real change either takes the roots, it starts to grow, or it quietly fades. Not in big moments, but in those little small quiet ones, right? In those little small quiet ones. When you start to leave the old life, the old structure that you've created, and you start to build a new one, there's a stretch where it feels like you are invisible, like no one knows or sees you. You're not who you were, you're not yet who you're becoming, and there is no applause happening in between. And I'm going to tell you right now that space feels lonely. Not because we're doing something wrong. It's because we're doing something new. Okay? Because we're doing something new, that's why it feels like we're invisible. That's why it feels like we're lonely at times. At first, people will start asking questions. They could become very curious. They may be supportive. But after a while, it starts to fade. That attention starts to fade. And that's when the real work begins. Because now you're not fueled by all these reactions. You're becoming fueled by the integrity of what you have chosen to step forward in. The thing about integrity is it doesn't announce itself. Integrity shows up when you keep going even when no one comments. You honor your boundaries even when no one notices them. And you stay consistent even when it feels pointless. That's when the identity actually shifts. Not when you're seen, but when you are choosing. And that could be a very scary moment. Because that's where you can feel like you're losing the momentum, you're losing the drive, you're losing the ambition, and you're losing the passion of all of this. But you have to understand that integrity is when you keep going. You honor your boundaries, and you stay consistent. A lot of people think motivation is what keeps you going. Now remember, motivation is emotional. But that's going to rise and that's going to fall. What keeps you going is your commitment to building this new life. The commitment to building this new life. Commitment to who you're becoming, the commitment to staying with the process, as challenging as it may be, and committing to not abandoning yourself when things get quiet. If we don't stay committed to it, this is where often people stop. Because they start to feel that they're failing, and you're not. You're not failing. It's because you're not feeling the excitement anymore. When the excitement dies out, this is where we start to say, man, was this the right choice? Man, I'm not getting the views like I did. Man, I'm not getting the comments. Man, I'm not getting the recognition that I got when I started this. Right? The hype slowly fizzles away. The early adrenaline that you had is now gone. The novelty that once was there has started to wear out. And now that all you have left is just a routine. But the thing about this routine is where the mastery grows. This is where the mastery grows. It's going to be very difficult when you feel unseen. And something to consider is, friend, you're not invisible. You're in formation. It's one thing I got to tell myself, I'm not invisible, I'm in formation. I'm creating and building, and I'm forming into who I want to become. I'm not invisible. And I need to stop worrying about why people are not acknowledging that. Because when you're in the formation stage, when you're starting to form this phase does not look impressive. But it's doing something powerful, so powerful inside of you. Every time you show up when no one is watching, you will tell yourself this: I am reliable, I matter, I can count, I can be counted on. Because it's all about that consistency, friend. When no one is watching, you tell yourself these things. I'm reliable, I matter, and I can be counted on. And having that inner trust, that starts to become your real stability. The stability is not the attention, it's not the applause, it's not the validation, it's the self-trust that you've created with your new becoming. You don't need to perform your becoming. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to prove it. You just need to live it. And that's why I say my theme for 2026 is living as evidence. I need to live it. And sometimes living it quietly is what makes it real. When I'm living this formation quietly, this is what makes it real. What you're going to learn is progress isn't always visible. Progress sometimes will look like this: staying when you could quit, choosing alignment again, and being gentle with yourself. And those moments count even if no one else sees them. So progress isn't always visible, but sometimes it'll look like staying when you want to quit, when you're choosing alignment again, and when you're being gentle with yourself. It's crazy. When I sit and I think about that, I wonder sometimes about how much I was focused on the validation. I was focused on the hype. I was focused on, people reaching out, telling me that they're so excited for me and they're proud of me. And when all of that slowly dies out and you're not receiving those anymore, that's where you're starting to think that, man, did I really make this? Choosing a purpose over a paycheck, is this really worth it? Is this what I really wanted? Because now no one's acknowledging it. It seems like now I've become invisible. I think to myself, like, sometimes are people even there? Or sometimes, do people even care anymore about this? And that right there, friend, is why you're doing it for you. You're doing it because of who you are becoming, because of who you are. That's what makes this journey so amazing. Because it's about you. It's about what you're creating. It's about what you are establishing. It's about what you want and how you're going about it. You're learning a lot of the stuff. You're in this process. When you choose to do purpose over a paycheck, you're going to go through a lot. You're going to experience a lot, and you're going to learn a lot. But all of those are seeds that you are planting into the fertile ground that you are now standing on. You have this fertile ground where it's fresh, and there's so much that can grow from it. But we are human. We are human, and our nervous system will kick in. Our nervous system will try to tell us that we're crazy, that you were insane for doing what you just did. You left stability. You left what you already were how do I want to say, you were programmed for, and now you're changing the program. And like I said in the last episode, it's you have to think about this like a software update. When you choose to start and develop a new identity, you are stepping into the 2.0. Some of you may be a 3.0, depending on where you're at. And you're always going to have bugs in your software that need to be reprogrammed, need to be corrected, need to be ironed out, right? We all know this. When we get a new software on a new program, there was always going to be bugs because the people who are coding it, they're working through that. They put out the software, and when it starts to run, they start to realize, people start to give feedback and say, hey, this is running slow. Hey, this is not working. Hey, this started to affect some connections that I had. And what the coders do is they go back and they start debugging those issues so that way that software runs smooth, right? But what happens is that software doesn't stay like that forever. There's always updates. We're always rebranding it. We're always recreating it. We're always making it better. And because we do that for a lot of our technologies, we never do that for us. Some of us may be still running in the program of 1990s. Some of us may be the early 2000s. We're still running with that program. And you already know that you need to update. But you're afraid to update. You're afraid to download that new update because the change and the shift is going to push you into a different path, in a different level. And that's what happens in all of this journey, right? In all of this journey. Wow. It's hard to believe that we're already bringing week 2 episodes to a close, and then we'll be starting our week 3 episodes. So, as we bring week 2 to a close, I want to leave you with something. Your life is changing not because of what people see. Your life is changing because of what you keep doing when they don't. You stay, you trust, you keep going. You have made the choice to update your software. You have chosen to become the new identity that you're giving permission to step through these aligned doors, and you're allowing it to integrate with the old self and to integrate so that you're emerging out as a new self. Because you stay, you trust, you keep going. All right, friend, as always, if this episode resonated with you, please make sure that you are leaving a rating. Make sure that you are following this podcast. And also share this out with family, friends, and colleagues, or whoever needs to hear these types of messages. If you know someone who's going through the process similar to what I'm going through, or you know they have talked about stepping into the purpose over a paycheck, share this podcast out with them, because that's what it is. This podcast, Purpose Over a Paycheck, is really about the things that no one tells us when we make this choice of this new self, this new identity that we want to move into. No one tells us the true facts. We only see the success stories. We don't see the process that they're going through. We don't see the fear and the panic and the paranoia. We don't see the second guessing, the guilt that might drive us to going back to the old self. So make sure that you are sharing this out with those who are thinking, or who have already established and started to go from a purpose to a paycheck. All right. As always, I've got a lot of resources available on my website. Make sure you click on the link in the show notes or in the podcast description. It'll take you to my link tree. It'll show you of all the great things that I have to offer, my ebooks, my master classes, and my soon-to-be membership site where you can join monthly, where you can participate in group coaching, you can participate in activities, and receive extra bonuses once that membership site is up and running. Again, I have 3 ebooks that are so amazing that'll help you in the process. 2 of them are really simple, practical action guides that you can do these activities and journal. The 3rd one is a 30-day reprogramming your mindset for abundance. It's called Manifesting Like You Mean It, and it has daily activities, daily journal prompts, daily reflection questions, just practices. It's got a lot of great stuff in there. Great resource. And so instant download. You don't have to wait for it to be delivered. You don't have to wait for it in the mail. You go in, you purchase, and you have instant download, and it's yours. All right? Plain and simple. That's where it's at. So make sure you're checking that out and staying tuned there. I will be creating an email newsletter. So that'll be coming down the road. Like I said, every day I'm thinking of new things but I'm very careful about how much I'm bringing out, because again, I want to stay focused on the work that I'm doing, because I'm still developing this new self. But check out my website. There's a lot more there for you, right? So the thing is like, you don't need to witness for this to matter, okay? You don't need witnesses. You don't need witnesses for this to matter. Friend, you are your only witness. You are only what matters during this whole transition and this whole process. All right, friends? All right. With that said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. I want you to know that I love you, I appreciate you, and I am grateful for you. And as I always say, I'll talk to you soon.